What's grounded, fam? It's your boy Johnny Gio. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Grounded Phoenix podcast. Joining me today is Bree. What's grounded, Bree?
Hey, how's it going, Johnny?
It's going good, man. I'm pumped. Yo, we finally got it on Riverside FM, man. I was like, damn, man. I was like,
yeah, I know.
All right. So for those, there was a couple that didn't make it on Riverside FM. So just so we clear the air, how were you able to connect? Just so we learn from this.
It was join room.
Join room.
Join studio. Sorry, it was a bit of a technical difficulty that we had before.
Yeah,
so I'm
man.
really grateful that we were able to connect. So
seriously, if not, we're gonna have to do it through Zoom, But there's another solution for it. So it's all good. I'm glad to have you on. I'm excited to talk about your story and your recovery, and also you're Indigenous, right?
Yes, sir. I grew up with the belief that I was full Native, and then, however, as life progressed, I would get people telling me that they thought I was all kind of different races, and then a couple Christmases, an ex-boyfriend of mine, who is very special to me, bought me a 23 DNA kit for me, and I actually found out that I'm like a very rare breed. You could say I'm mostly Romanian and Greek, and then I have a little bit of Native in me, but it's just the perfect amount, that I am not able to consume drugs and alcohol. Okay, so yeah. So no, it's pretty cool. It's I don't know if you know anything about like Gypsy culture or Native culture or like even Greek culture, and it's pretty cool because I've traveled quite a bit in my day. I guess you could say I'm only 29, but I have a family and they just absolutely love to travel. And I was actually in Greece, in Mykonos and Santorini when I was a teenager, and I didn't even know that I was Greek, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome, and that's dope that you did I think it's called 23andMe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think have one of those.
Oh, do you really? Yeah, what's your background?
So I initially got it. My sister got it for me because I never met my biological father, and she's like, "This might help you,
no
connect."
Way. Okay. Yeah, I feel you.
So, if I remember correctly, I'm like 10% African American.
Dope.
I'm like, I think like 30% Native American, and
Sweet.
then the like 60% European.
Oh, okay. I feel you.
I did not know that, and
cool.
What is Mexican? Like, where do Mexican descent come from? Like, I have no idea. I'm just like, so European. So am I white? Like,
yeah, no.
No, I don't look white, but it says 60% European. That's a lot. So I was like,
okay.
I was like, holy shit. But so we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about in particular the Indigenous Disconnection, because you got a backstory on that and the heritage behind that. Because I know that means a lot to you, and you want to spread some awareness. But
yeah. So I was adopted at birth. It was a private adoption. My parents could not have kids, and that was something that they were very passionate about. So I have an older sister who was adopted as well. God bless her heart. I love her to death. So her and I grew up together. She was adopted when she was 6, I believe, or not 6, but a little younger than that, because I was adopted at birth. I don't know like how long her adoption takes, because it's a long fucking process.
Right.
So being Indigenous and being adopted into a non-Indigenous family, not only being alcoholic and kind of feeling that disconnect there, but also just not really knowing who I was. My parents were, extraordinary with the explanation of the adoption, knowing that I was Native, why I was adopted, and all those circumstances like that. However, I think, being in a religious family with their own beliefs, which as I respect, very much so, because both my parents worked very hard and went through a lot of what they went through in their young lives, and I have the utmost respect for the both of them.
Right.
However, just having that disconnect where you are alcoholic and you don't really know your background, and then being Native, especially, I was bullied for being Native because there was a reserve not too far out of the town that I grew up in, which was Cochrane. And I was also bullied for being adopted. Kids used to make fun of me, telling me that my mom didn't love me and I wouldn't even take the
Oh
bus
fuck.
home. And yeah, man, like I'm honestly surprised that I'm able to share that with you without getting upset, because as a kid, you know what I mean, hearing that your mom doesn't love you is quite
Right.
traumatic.
Yeah.
And for as long as I can remember, I was bullied to the point where, like, the principal got involved, like drove me home from school because I didn't even want to take the bus home from school anymore. And
Right.
so I would just really encourage families who are considering, adoption where they're not able to have kids, is to really do your research. And that's something that I really respect my parents for, is because they were um, quite good in that sense, where they did the best they could. You know what I mean? So, and I had an amazing childhood. Like I said, we traveled um, more than a kid at that age would travel. Like, I think the first time I went anywhere, I was about a 2-month-old baby and on the beach in Mexico. So
Nice.
love to travel, and I
Yeah.
have a my mom tells me I have a gypsy soul, so it's quite interesting. So
Nice. That's dope. Thank you
mhm,
for sharing that. We're also going to
mhm.
talk about fetal alcohol syndrome a little bit
Yes,
later
sir.
because I know that's
Okay.
something you really want to get into, right? So I
Yes,
just want to
sir.
let the audience know some subjects we're going to get into. But before that, I know you talked about like some bullying during your childhood, and I
Mm,
know probably that's not initially where your addiction stemmed from.
mm-mm,
But what else played a role into like your addiction, and what was your drug of choice, whether it be alcohol, because I consider alcohol a drug,
mm-hmm.
and how was life before being sober, and then kind of just talk about that.
Um, so I actually started smoking cigarettes and pot at a very young age. I acted out. Um, I was a wild child. You know what I mean? Like, I know my buddies watching this, like, in my hometown are gonna be laughing because they fucking know, right? Like, I was the kid that parents were like, I don't want you hanging out with her. And, like, looking back, like, I don't fucking blame them. I
Mm-hmm.
started smoking pot and cigarettes at a young age, house parties, popping ecstasy. But my primary DOC is definitely alcohol. Tried all kinds of psychedelics. I fucking loved acid when I was a kid.
Mm.
Mushrooms, fucking walking around town, not knowing what the fuck you're doing, and puking up your guts because you ate too many fucking shrooms. Like,
Oh snap.
um, and then, I really think it took a turn for the worst when I got into cocaine,
Mm.
when I was 18, 19. And it's funny because the first time I tried it, it made me so fucking sick. And I didn't end up doing it again for a while. And MDMA, like Molly and ecstasy, was my thing for quite a while. And then it wasn't until I met one of my ex-boyfriends and I moved to Snow Valley, they call it, which is extremely, extremely toxic, when it comes to the chemicals and the amount of drugs that run through that town. And, just looking back at it, the first thing that comes to mind now, is what's really sad about that area is the amount of fentanyl and opiates. You know, it's its own. I know that it's already a pandemic, and it's certainly increased over COVID. The numbers are higher than deaths than COVID for opioid overdoses and drug and alcohol
That's
overdoses.
that's
But
serious.
but looking back, I would have become addicted to down. I know it. I know it because a lot of the people that I used to party with and hang out with, that is now their DOC. And, you know, it's really unfortunate. And I told myself that I wasn't getting emotional during this interview, but how many people have died, you know, due to opioid um, overdoses? And it's destroying lives. And now what's really sad is that they're putting it in everything.
Yeah.
And so yeah, talking about one of my ex-boyfriends, Colin Mull, God bless his soul, my first love, who I will love until the day I die. He's one of my angels. I know that for sure. It was a pretty nasty breakup, and I certainly won't get into that negativity today. Um, but I it was years and years after him and I had broken up, and we ran into each other in the most random place, in a room actually downtown
Wow.
Calgary, and I had kind of heard stories, but in Invermere it's a fucking drama fest, so you really can't believe he said she said
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, you know what I mean? So
Right.
um, and he looked amazing, and it was just such an incredible experience because, like, I saw him and, like, everything was squashed. I asked him about his son, um, and, you know, we hugged it out, and then I saw him again at Christmas time, and, you know, to this day, I really regret it because he passed not long after that,
Oh
and,
shit.
I know that if I hadn't seen him, you know what I mean, like that before he died, I don't think I would have been able to be where I'm at right now, because he meant so much to me at one point in my life, and I have the kind of heart where it's like, if I love you, I'm going to continue to love you for the rest of my life. Um, so yeah, and then just it continued, into heavy cocaine use to the point where I was getting in trouble with the law. I was stealing for my drug use. I was lying for my drug use. I was fucking stealing from my parents for my drug use. Car theft. Um, you know, like I was selling at one point to for my own habit. And same with my boyfriends. If you didn't sell drugs, I didn't want nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it was sad because there were all these exterior things because I didn't know how to love myself, so I was just constantly filling that fucking hole. And then, you know, you go back to the disconnect as a child. That's where it really all stems for us is the childhood and the fucking bullying and the fucking bitches, you know, the mean girls at high school. And so I stopped fucking going to school. I moved out when I was 16 years old, and I was full blown addict. I was already an alcoholic and an addict before I even put, you know, a drink or drug in my body. I would fucking pop Molly at school, and you know what I mean. So just continued on from there.
Wow. You talk about filling that gap that we have inside of us. That whole. Um, how is it that you are able to feel whole now, like in terms of like your recovery process? Because you said you met your ex boyfriend at a meeting before he passed. And by the way, I'm sorry for your loss. You know
Thank
that's very
you. Thank
tragic.
you so much.
But what is your recovery process like now?
Um, so as I mentioned, I have been criminally charged in the past. I was put on house arrest, and I was court ordered to go to treatment or go to jail. And my fucking lawyer said, You know, you're either gonna end up fucking running the place or be somebody's bitch in there. And you're gonna come out worse than you did when you came in. So I was like, fuck, I'll go to
Oh,
fucking treatment, but I'm not fucking staying sober. And yeah, I fucking went to detox because I had fucking THC in my system, and go to Alpha House, and it was, oh my god, traumatizing. My mom walks in there with me, and she looks at the staff, and she's like, excuse me, my daughter doesn't have to stay here, does she? It was like all these homeless people downstairs, like pissing blood all over the mats. Like, I'm like,
oh my
what the fuck is
God.
going on? Don't leave me here. Anyways, long story short, finished detox, finished treatment, um, and then I got into a recovery house in Calgary, Oxford Housing. And when you get into sober living at Oxford, you either have to go to school or you have to be working a job. So I was like fresh out of treatment, starting hair school, probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to fucking do in my life. And I started going to meetings, and I had gone to meetings previously before that. As I said, I was a wild child. I acted out, and my parents didn't know what the fuck to do with me. So I had gone to AA previously. Um, and then I just got a sponsor, and I started working the steps. And all of a sudden, after a year and a half, I fucking thought my shit didn't. Well, I think I thought because I quit drinking and doing drugs, my shit didn't stink anyways. But I stopped going to meetings at about a year and a half. Stopped praying, never really connected with my higher power on like that interpersonal level.
Right.
And a bunch of shit happened. I fucked up, and I went back out, and it almost killed me.
That's crazy. As soon as we stop doing the things that helped us initially, and because I recovered, I'm in recovery in a different manner. I know you do the 12
Mm-hmm.
steps now,
Mm-hmm.
but it's almost the same thing. Like if you stop doing initially what has helped you, which is being in a different environment or an environment that is helpful for you, and being surrounded by people and having like a mentor in a sense, whether that be a person or maybe an influencer on YouTube or something, and just consuming the right amount of information, we just drift onto like this path of like, holy shit, like we're back where we fucking started in the first place. How did you bounce back?
Um, so I hit my rock bottom. I was using with the intent to kill myself.
Oh snap.
Um, and I told my ex-boyfriend at the time, I want to kill myself. I need to go to the hospital. And he had his own issues of himself, and he left me in my apartment to die.
Oh shit.
And at that point, I had one or two choices. I could keep drinking and using, or I could reach out and get help. So I reached out and got help. A My first cousin, Tyler, took me to the hospital with an old hair school friend of mine, and kind of just explained the situation to them. And I don't know what the fuck they gave me because I don't really remember being there. Um, Fuck, that was like around Christmas time too, I think. Yeah. So I think they shot me up with some Valium, whatever, sent me home. They shouldn't have fucking sent me home because let me tell you, I painted the town red. I went to BC and I painted the town fucking black.
Oh
Um,
shit.
just the pain, um, and that's what I think as alcoholics and addicts is that we have such pure parts underneath the surface, and at at that point my heart was just ripped open in two because this person that I thought loved me did some horrible things to me and left me to die. And So what am I gonna do? What do I know? I go back to fucking drinking and I go back to fucking drugs. And you know what I mean? I think it was about $700 worth of cocaine.
Oh shit! You weren't
And
fucking around.
no, I fucking within 3 days I did $7 worth of cocaine to myself.
Oh
I was fucking
shit!
smoking it at the end through a fucking
Whoa!
bong. Oh
Through a
yeah, man, I
bomb.
wanted my heart to stop. Oh yeah, like
Fuck.
40 pounders of vodka, like, and typically I was a cutter, right? So usually I cut my wrist, but at this point I was like, um, so I got on my knees and I surrendered, and this feeling I had never experienced in my life overcame me, and I did what I need to do, and I dozens and dozens of hospital trips to Peter Lougheed Center, Rocky View ambulance trips, and finally, I got formed. My family came and got me, thank God, and I was institutionalized in high observation for about 2 months. I was just flailing, permaflailed, and the doctors were telling my parents, "We don't know if she's going to come out of this."
Fuck.
Um, and at that point, you're pretty much in survival mode because of this emotional turmoil that has happened to you and all these things that have happened to you. So you're pushing away everybody left, right, and center because, you know, and you don't know what the fuck is going on because you think that you're making sense and nobody else is making sense, and you know you're hallucinating things, and it's you know, it's terrifying, and it's fucking sad because, you know, I believe that I was meant to be there, but the way that things were handled in there were not necessarily the greatest way of handling things, because when you fucking throw a wild animal in a cage for a certain amount of time and then let them out, um it's like a wild animal in a zoo. Like they're never the same. And I got out. You know what I mean? So I was diagnosed at that point. I had already previously known of a disorder that I had, along with the depression and the anxiety, but with the bipolar, and that's what triggered the manic episode, is that there were copious amounts of methamphetamine that I was unaware of in the cocaine that I had used. So it threw me through the fucking loop, and I was, you know, I didn't know how to live, and I was too afraid to die, and I was homeless at that point because my family didn't want fucking nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? I don't blame them. It's not that they didn't want anything to do with me. They didn't know what to do with me.
Mm.
So, you know, and I don't know if you've ever heard about the Red Road, but it's 365 days of walking to spirit. And that's essentially my higher power, who I've gotten to know very well over these past couple of months. So yeah, just fucking grateful to be alive. Like,
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So,
Seriously, man. It sounds like you went through a lot. Like, I want to talk about a little bit. When you surrendered to your higher power, can you speak on your relationship now with your higher power and how that has helped you, and maybe perhaps some spiritual principles and your program right now?
absolutely. So, I got on my knees, and you know, I was raised Catholic, so it was a form of prayer that I always known. But in that moment, I kind of just said in my head, I need help. I can't fucking do this anymore. I'm terrified. Please help me. And I surrendered, and I had never surrendered like that before. And, you know, I go through, I'm going to call it loop-de-loops with my higher power, because I turn
Mm.
around, and then I come back, and I turn around, and I come back, and he's like, bitch, like, fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm so sorry.
Oh my god.
Forgive me. Like, but no, not religious by any means. You know, Creator, Mother Earth, whatever, however, thank you, Carl Melting Tallow, for that, by the way. And outside help, man, like fucking therapy. You know, certainly I've experienced this recently. You throw a bunch of high school kids in a classroom and you box them in a room for a certain period of time, shit's gonna get out of hand.
Yeah.
Right? I just had a conversation with my mother recently. She suggested maybe going back to see a therapist because that's probably it's professional fucking advice. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? You got a bunch of sick people fucking telling you with their pride and egos what they think that you should be doing with your life and your recovery. You know, you stick around that long enough, you're gonna fucking listen. And I was too trusting at that point. So what did I do? I listened. And I'm not doing that anymore. So outside help, which is available when you don't have to pay. I believe if you call 811 and, you know, they will give you all that information. Certainly here in Canada, that's, I believe, the number that you call. And then, you know, on the spirituality wise, the red road, is what I walk, every day. You know, I make amends from the time that I wake up in the morning to the time I go to bed. You know, I work my program to the best of my fucking ability, the way that I was taught to when I came back to the rooms from Lisa, God bless her soul, and, you know, from another sponsor that I have as well, God bless her soul too. And my parents and my family that never fucking gave up on me, because you hear horror stories about these people who want to adopt and then they have all these issues. And they fucking, they throw the kids out like they're garbage. So what are the kids gonna do? You know what I mean? They're gonna go in the streets and they're fucking using. And I just witnessed that on Hastings in Vancouver. Shit's fucking devastating, man. Like...
Yeah, that's fucked up, man. You talked about, you know, how your sponsors have helped you, and I understand now that you have some sponsees, right?
Yes, sir.
How does that help you? Because it's a two-way street. How does that help you?
Oh my god. So yeah, no, it's really interesting how I met Emma, actually. Like, my sponsor Lisa introduced me to her, and they also have a story, the two of them. But I met Emma, and she's a light in my life, man. Like, I had no idea how it comes back tenfold, and how you help somebody so selflessly, and then when you need help without asking, it comes back for you from that person. Right. And she has just shown me how to live and how to chase my dreams and how to love and how to forgive and just how to be. And she is fucking moving mountains, and I want to move mountains now, and I want to help my other sponsees move mountains, God bless their souls. And like, it's such a beautiful thing that I can just give back what was so freely given to me from people who have, you know, like, I still communicate with the women who did my 12-step call.
It's amazing.
And it's just, you know, so I really encourage people, if they are doing sponsorship, you know what I mean, know yourself, know your worth. I feel like Drake now. Know yourself, know your worth. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know. I think I'm pretty funny too, but
you got jokes. I swear, you got hella jokes, but you're making me crack up today.
Yeah. So yeah, that's and that's just like the tip of the iceberg, because that's the recovery community, you know.
Yes.
And we didn't have that out there.
Mm-mm.
You know, so and something that's really, really important to me is that somebody who also helped save my life when I came back to the rooms in one of my deepest, darkest stints. You know, he's a wise man, stubborn fucker, love the guy to death, but don't forget your street smarts. He told me.
Yeah.
And I forgot that when I came back because I thought everybody was fucking, you know what I mean? So here I
Mm-mm.
am fucking trusting everybody. And I think about it and it's like, I can't trust myself, so why the fuck am I trusting you? You know what I mean? So that's something that I tell my sponsees now. And I was just talking to her the other night and I told her that because we both have, I don't want to say street cred, but, street awareness. And I respect people who have education, you know what I mean? But like, I didn't fucking graduate from high school, and here I am sitting here with you having this fucking conversation. You know what I mean? So, fuck a job. Just kidding. Love you guys. Um, yeah. So, yeah.
It's fucking cutthroat out there. It's cutthroat. You could be book smart, but if you ain't got no street smarts, man, shit, you're prey. You are straight up
Right?
prey.
Yeah.
Yo, there's one thing you wanted to talk about also, and that was anonymity,
Oh,
right? So, so
yeah.
right now, Instagram's big with the whole recovery scene, and everybody's, there's different opinions on it, and like people, I guess, being not anonymous because they want to be, show people that recovery is possible and stuff like that, and I could see that. But there's another point of view about like keeping your anonymity, for reasons for I guess like your own well-being. Can you touch up on your opinion on that?
Yeah, so in well, I think even in active addiction, there's mental health. And again, throwing a bunch of high school kids in a room boxed up for a certain amount of time, people are gonna fucking talk. And I was having a conversation with my sponsor recently about this, and there's no fucking anonymity in those rooms. You know what I mean? Like, you fucking, if you're telling somebody something, you better make sure you fucking trust that person, or it's gonna go ring around the rosy. And that's what really fucking upsets me, is because this shit kills. Like, I don't mind that I'm here doing this with you. Like, I'm Brianne, I'm an alcoholic addict. But I think due to the fact that if I can, help save one person's life by this, then I will. And that goes with saying that if you think that you know somebody and you don't fucking know them, don't go around fucking saying that that person is fucking drinking and doing drugs if you don't know your fucking facts. And you don't know that person has dual diagnoses. Like, you want to talk dual diagnosis? I got fucking 2 sets of dual diagnoses. Like, I'll quadruple your fucking dual diagnosis shit. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, if you're close with somebody and they tell you they have a dual diagnosis, fucking Google that shit. Google the symptoms of when they start getting stressed and overwhelmed before you go around fucking telling people who are close to that person that this person is drinking and fucking using. Because it kills. And I'll tell you right now, if I didn't have the supports that I do in my life, that would have taken me out and it would have killed me. I'm 29, I don't have another recovery in me. I'll die. So you got to be very, and that's the same for me too. Like, I need to be very, very careful who I allow in my circle, and I have just cut ties with several people due to this reason, and that's okay, because the less people in your circle, the less fucking people that you have to deal with bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, so, street cred.
There you go.
You know? Mm-hmm.
There you go. Thank you for talking about that. Some things just have to be
Absolutely.
said. There's a term that I was not familiar with, and you brought it to my attention, and that's fetal alcohol syndrome. You wanted
Yes,
to talk
sir.
about that and the
Yeah,
importance of knowing.
I know somebody who is very close to me, and I've certainly witnessed it and experienced watching it. Just the effects that this diagnosis has had, and it's so commonly undiagnosed, and it's so common, and I feel like so many people are not aware of it. And that's not being ignorant. I think that it's not being advocated for enough. So I am advocating. certainly seeing this person being low on the spectrum, whereas if they were high on the spectrum, and I have witnessed that as well, these people aren't able to advocate for themselves. It's extremely sad because these people can't even tell the time. They are not able to carry out day-to-day goals for themselves. Very impulsive, and then you put drugs and alcohol into the mix in that, and it's deadly. It's not a force that you want to reckon with. And I think what the awareness needs to be brought up essentially is that alcohol permanently affects the fetus's brain. It puts holes in the neurons and the synapses and the connections that it needs for your brain to have that cognitive function for everyday life. Whereas drugs such as cocaine, methamphetamines, heroin, fentanyl, not that they don't have any effect on the brain. However, the baby can be weaned off these, whereas alcohol being poison permanently affects the brain. And you know how we are when we're out there and we're drinking and using, like, for lack of a better words, we become bunny rabbits and we're not careful. People are going to get pregnant, and you hear these horror stories about these women who are alcoholics or drug addicts, and they're having babies and they don't even know, you know what I mean? They're going into labor and they didn't even know they were pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's devastating. And then here they are, these kids having all these issues and not knowing for their whole lives that they're like this. Whereas one simple, tiny decision could have been made, you know what I mean, not to make that decision. And I think that's what's so sad is it's such a selfish disease that we don't think about these things. And I, you know what I mean, like not being on contraceptive or using protection and things like that. So it's quite sad. So I'm just here to advocate for women and children, or anybody who is adopted or experiences these things, and as well as anybody in the recovery community or anybody who has 5, diagnoses and they don't even know who the fuck they are because they have this doctor telling them you have this, 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 and this. But I am here to tell you that these do not define you as a human being. Like, my name is Brianne. And I am here to tell you that these do not define me as a human being. Like, look where I am. Like, I am living a life today that I like, here I am talking with you, Johnny. Like, I never would have, I got emotional the other day with my sponsor because she told me to dream big, and then all these things are starting to happen. And now that I'm able to receive them, that they're happening, and it's just like, life's a fucking trip, man. Like, spirit don't fuck around, you know what I'm saying? Like,
for real, yo, thank you. I really appreciate you sharing this and spreading that awareness. This is actually the first time people are advocating for that. So anytime I have the opportunity to bring someone in to spread awareness and something that hasn't been already been talked about, I'm really grateful for that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Is there thank you. Is there anything you want to talk about or bring up that I might have missed before I ask you the last and final question? I know you want to make a shout out too.
Oh, I want to make a shout out to my mom and dad, Bob and Rita, my sister, Alyssa, Jared, my family who has helped save my life. Ryden Lowen, Kimberly Buckler, my manager, Emma, Lisa, my sponsor, my AA recovery family, my brother, Gary Leggett, my brothers, my sisters, the Red Bull dancers, all my ex-boyfriends that have taught me lessons, Colin Mall, my most recent ex-boyfriend, thank you. Anybody who's backstabbed me, anybody who's kicked me when I'm down.
Ooh.
Anybody who's taught me valuable lessons in my life, my manager, Rod and Vanessa, thank you. Just Thank you, everybody. You know what I mean? Like, if I missed anybody, I'm so sorry. Like, my Cochrane family, my BC family. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's a nice beanie you got, by the way.
Oh yes, sir. This is Warrior Within Apparel, Bryden Lowen. It's actually Bryden Lowen's company, and he's a pretty incredible person. I challenge you to do some research on his work. He has helped save my life as well as my manager. Like, God bless their souls. So really encourage you and everyone to check out that apparel. It's located in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and again, that is Bryden Lowen. And he is also on my Facebook as well, because I'm a motherfucking brand ambassador for him. So
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Actually,
that's what's up.
shoot me the link. I'll put it in the description below. So in case people want to cop some merch, I'll put it in the description on the video.
I will for sure. I will for sure. And then I also just want to kind of touch on the missing Native women and children anywhere that have gone in the world. Um, hashtag No More Stolen Sisters. It's quite an epidemic. Um, it's sad. You know what I mean? Being Indigenous, I've certainly, as I mentioned, being bullied for even being Indigenous, and I was a fucking kid. So imagine what the women and children, you know what I mean, have to go through where they. So I'm not going to get into too much of that because I'm just going to get rattled up, and my zodiac sign is fire, so I don't want to light anything on fire in here, you know what I mean? So burn the house down. So.
Right, but it's all about spreading the awareness, right?
So please do your research into No More Stolen Sisters, and look up Red Bull Dancers on Instagram. I will also send that to you, and as well as powwow dancing and smudging and accessing the resources in your community, reaching out and even, you know, talking to 811 and asking about how to connect with the Indigenous community, as that's also extremely important for our people to connect with our heritage, because once that's torn away from you, man, it's not a good place to be. And it's an amazing, loving community. You know what I mean? The Bear Clan. I have my own Bear Clan, like
Awesome.
Brianne Bear Claw, they call me. So
Nice.
yeah.
Super dope. Super dope. All right, so I'm gonna serve you this last and final question. We didn't go over it. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that the question. But if you haven't,
Yeah.
I believe that there's three things in life that are guaranteed, and they're marked in our gravestone. That is our birthday, the day we pass, and the dash in the middle.
Okay.
What is that dash? What do you want that dash to represent for you when you're gone?
My rebirth, February 2nd, actually, 2018. I was reborn again. And this is me, and I'm ready to fucking fill my boots, man. So